Day one from Franklin, Kentucky witnessed a rare podium sweep in the Optima Battery Super Modified two-wheel drive class as John Muma in the After Midnight truck won the class by 4.5 feet, while son-in-law Jeremy Nelson took third and Jared Nelson took second. Donnie Sullivan's Big Ed Red and the Long Brothers vehicles are close in the points and look to make a move on the second day at Franklin. Can anyone keep John Muma from the weekend sweep? Find out next. Truck and tractor pulling. The ultimate test of power. Professional pullers compete using custom-built vehicles with thousands of horsepower to see who can pull a multi-ton weighted sled the farthest. The sled is adjusted for each class to make the competition a fair test of power and driver skill. There's no practice in pulling. Every decision a team makes before each pull is critical to competing for a class championship. In a season full of highs and lows, teams dedicate hundreds of hours to maintenance, travel, and repair. This is professional pulling with the Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Franklin, Kentucky for the E3 Spark Plugs Pro Pulling Nationals presented by Mack Trailer. This is the Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League. Ken Stout and Leslie Mears here to call the action for you. We'll have two different categories we'll feature here today. The Super Farm tractors are in the house. And then if you like the automotive style pulling vehicles, we have the two-wheel drive trucks as well. So the supercharged wheel staining vehicles will be out here in just a little bit. We're going to kick it all off with the Super Farm tractors, and there's a lot of old school looking machines out here that are beautiful. Jason Vinny, all cranked up, is going to kick off the class. Just that low RPM tug, and he does an excellent job right out of the gate. 304 and 53.
That's solid, but with the field of tractors that we have out here, it's really anybody's ball game. As you can see, former champ Nick Score in the Screamin' Norwegian. He'll be the second hook of the night. And then also a former champ, Don Slama, out there in the field, amongst others. And then we'll finish off the category here with some other notables like Josh Miley, Clay Darnell, Blaine Fraker, and Steve Friedemann.
So a nice lineup in our Super Farm category, and the Screamin' Norwegian of Nick Score coming up next. And Nick, a former champion, but he has gotten off to a slow start here in 2015.
Nick Score.
And he'll take over the lead here by about 5 inches. 304 and 93, just gets past that 304 and 53.
And just goes to show you how close the competition is in this category. And a lot of that has to do with the parameters set up in this class.
Next up, one of the green tractors in the category, Brad Woods, and it's called Thunderstruck. And carried the front end nicely there through the middle of the pull, and look at the distance. We have a new leader, 316 and 38.
And Brad Woods really has the number here for this Franklin track. Finished third at the first hook of this event. And look how he dials it in here, just kind of lets it wander side to side. A little bit of brake to bring it back around, but just an awesome pull here right down the center of the track.
So we'll get Brad Woods disconnected there from the Speedco sled as our next competitor is pulling out onto the track. Mark Kohlberg will be the next player there, and take a look at that Minneapolis Molene. A little bit earlier, it was our very own Crash Gladys, who has been busy down on the grounds talking to a number of the competitors, and she spent some time with Mark.
There is one driver in the Super Farm class who is powered by propane, and he happens to be the only driver with the yellow tractor, a Minneapolis Molene. That driver is Mark Kohlberg. And Mark, I have to think it's safe to say you don't have very many friends out there because you're the only one running the setup. What happens when you're in a jam and you need some help, pieces and parts?
Well, I'm kind of on my own, but I do have a lot of friends, and I know any of my competitors will help me whenever they can.
Why Propane? Because it is so different than everybody else.
I've been running this for 28 years now, I think, and I guess back when I started it, I just didn't know any better, for one thing. And it's just kind of unique, and the fans seem to like it, and it's a little bit of a challenge to get it all to work.
And that's what a lot of pulling is. It's all about the challenge for these pullers. It's all about, going out there and seeing what new innovations you can come up with to make your tractor run better than everyone else.
As you can tell, it burns so cleanly. 288 and 94 is going to be well short of the leaders here tonight, but still a great looking tractor for sure.
And we see the Minneapolis Molene on intermittent stops here on the Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League. So Kohlberg doesn't get it out as much as he would like to, but you also see he's running a nice tight line on the right side of the track. And it'll be interesting to see where the cards fall and where that line does develop here in this super farm category.
All right, we'll continue on inside of the category. We saw Jason Vinny kick the class off. This will be Dan Vinny and the Crank It Up.
Hello. All right, so they are going to take
International out here hooked up to the sled. You can see some moisture on these things as well, along with the visor. And Dan put a 303 and 51 on the board. So, again, right back over that 300-foot mark will get him into the top 5.
When he's got to be happy with that pass after some mechanical issues there on the first night of pulling here in Franklin that put him at the bottom of a field of 19 tractors. And so just to get a nice solid run like this, to see your machine really go out there and perform, it's got to be a win for the team.
And again, they'll disconnect there as we continue on in our Super Farm category. Up next will be the Red Scorpion, and this tractor has been on the tour for a number of years, but it's now Brooke Darnell doing the driving.
It's so cool to see Mac Darnell, father of Brooke and Clay, in the staging lanes, nervously watching as his children compete. It's just a really cool thing.
On a fairly wild ride there, especially at the beginning. That thing really lifted up the front end to the point that it unloaded the rear tires for a moment. Finally settled in as she puts 296 and 52 on the board. We'll take a quick break here from Franklin, Kentucky, and come right back. Brad Woods is your current leader at 316 and 38.
The Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League is brought to you by General Tire, 100 years of adventure. Geico, saving people money on more than just car insurance. And by 4 Wheel Parts, the global leader in truck, Jeep, and off-road performance products.
And we're back once again here at the E3 Spark Plugs Lucas Oil Pro Pulling Nationals, presented by Mack Trailer. Fast and furious. Don Slama is the man behind this tractor, and he is one of the best inside of the category. I think Don had to get into the brakes there just a little bit. He was very close to that white line, and you can see the tractor dart back to the left, and that's going to cost him.
Picked up the win on day one at Franklin, and as the first one of the season, that's awesome because last year he finished 5th in the points, and it took him till the 9th event to find the top of the podium. But does it early on in the season here, and you can see right there, that's where he hits that brake to bring it back around off of the right sideline, so he's not in that danger zone where he's going to hit the chalk and get the DQ for the night.
And that's a loss of an easy 5 to 10 feet, somewhere in that general area as soon as he hit those brakes. So it definitely hurt him in the results tonight. All right, a beautiful John Deere coming up here. John Vick is the man behind the wheel coming out of Kentucky, so not too far away from this particular pull. The dirt track Deere.
Here's John Vick, Molene, Kentucky, in the dirt track Deere.
And it finally tugs that John Deere down. The distance is going to be 289 and 15.
And I think that this track is really throwing a curveball at our competitors out here. As we had a little bit of rain before the show started, they were able to actually work that moisture into the track. So it's a lot different than it was just one night ago.
Tommy Forsythe, though, coming up next in the gunpowder and lead. Actually, a name on a couple of vehicles out here. It's the only one here in the Super Farm category. And the distance for the gunpowder and lead machine will be 283 and 25.
It's interesting, everyone falling right between 280 and 290 after some really stellar hooks early on in the class. Maybe, perhaps, it's time for these guys to look for a new line on the track, as everybody seems to be just right of center or all the way over to the right sideline.
We'll see if Andy Schwenk can find that magic piece of real estate. Running buck wild. Well, he's steering the heck out of it, but the front end was up in the air. Wasn't doing a whole lot of good, but a really nice effort here. 298 and 82.
So he'll get closer than anyone we've seen so far, and you can see him really starting to move over towards the left side.
That's also good enough to put him into the top 5 as the bad habit is back. Case International comes out here. Michael Fanning out over the 300-foot mark, 3:05 and 34. First tractor we've seen that since Dan Venny back at the start of the class.
When he really left the starting line with a lot of gusto out there, lots of ground speed, and that seems like it's what it's going to take here to make a good pass on this track.
That is good enough, by the way, to jump into second place at 3:05 with really strong effort. Up next, Fred Weber, never say never, with the Farmall. These guys are putting it on these things. 286 and 80, the mark.
Just really punishing their machines out here, trying to find that perfect mark. And up next will be Michael Snepp to give it his effort here in the Perfect Storm, who is the reigning champ right now in the Super Farm category.
Yeah, he just had an incredible 2014 with some 7 podiums by season's end. And he tugs out over the 300-foot mark, goes 3:03 and 95.
Well, I think they're finding a little bit more of a groove out there. Maybe they're finally starting to build the road that they need to kind of get the traction that they're looking for those 24.5-inch tires.
This tractor, called High Maintenance, also had a very solid 2014, the top 3 and the points. Josh Miley. And Miley's going to miss here a little bit tonight at 291 and 73.
And, you know, even day to day at the same event, there are a lot of variables that come into play for pullers that actually change. The track conditions change. Of course, the weather plays a big role in how they set up their machines out here. And, of course, it's all about the setup and the different variables in that, you know, tire pressure, gear selection, how much fuel you're going to give it out here, how much weight you're going to move around on this 9,300-pound vehicle. It all goes in to help create that perfect hook.
All right, we have more competitors in the class yet to go here with Super Farm, so stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Franklin, Kentucky, and the E3 Spark Plugs Lucas Oil Pro Pulley Nationals presented by Mack Trailer. Well, you mentioned Clay Darnell a little bit earlier in the show. Let's check in with Terry. He has more.
Hey, so Clay Darnell has been very busy today. He's moving all kinds of things, messing around with tire pressure. Mother Nature's throwing a curveball in with a little bit of last-minute rain. Clay, why so much work?
Just trying to figure this track out. Some of the earlier tractors come out and done real good. Our other tractor, we sent it out and had a little bit of a balance issue, come up and hit the wheelie bars. We can improve on that. She's out there with a good distance right now. That tractor's actually got a little bit more power, so we actually got to compensate for that using gear on this one. So hopefully this one will come out and won't put on too bad of a show tonight.
And that's the benefit of having two vehicles in a team, that you can take all that data and apply it to the second vehicle. And let's see if Clay Darnell can maybe take over a lead over his sister, Brooke.
And he dances way over there by the line as well, but a beautiful job out of Clay Darnell with a tractor that he admitted does not have as much horsepower. How about 307.08, where his sister Brooke went 296 and 52. They definitely learned something.
When he would have extended that distance out, but as you see during the course of his run, he gets a little too close to that right sideline, stabs the brake over there to bring it back around to the center of the track, and he could have easily been out there with our leader, Brad Woods, in Thunderstruck.
Yeah, the 307, good enough for second place as it stands right now, so really solid effort out of the Darnell camp. Coming up next, Blaine Fraker and the Agitator, another tractor that had a great 2014.
So far, he hasn't hit what he wanted. I don't think so. Let's watch him go here, though. Blaine Fraker, Mark Lincoln.
Blaine was in the hunt for the championship throughout the 2014 season and is also in the hunt here for a podium finish as he stands in second place right now.
Look, he's moved over towards that left sideline, still close to the center, though, where everybody's had that good dirt. But the key is, look at the front end. He picked it up early to get that good transfer weight, those rear tires really squatting down into the track, putting that nice, big, wide footprint out there for him to help him push that power into the track to propel out his distance.
And we do have some tough tractors here at the end of the category for sure. As you see some of the fans having a great time out here. It is awesome, too, to see the diversity and age from young to old that love truck and tractor pulling. Ricky Wilson coming up here with the Red Rooster. And the Red Rooster lays in at 3:08 and 41. That's good enough to take over third place away from Clay Darnell.
And it looks like they found that good patch of dirt that they were looking for here late in the class. As you can see that the Red Rooster runs in almost the same tracks as the two previous tractors. And a good job setting up his machine. And that's what it really comes down to here in this Super Farm category, because the components are almost exactly the same here. They're limited to a P pump. It's a 3-inch intake and exhaust on the turbo. You know, they're only 9,300 pounds, same tires. You know, they can run those intercoolers out there. So the machinery itself is almost the same. It's just what the driver can do to set it up and how they drive it that makes the big difference.
All right, up next will be Steve Creedeman with the Pale Rider. He is the final tractor in the category. And that International tugs right down to the very end, and he's actually going to bump Clay Darnell down to fifth by about 2.5 inches or so.
So you can see Creedeman really pouring it on early, goes straight full throttle right off the line, and just lets the tractor go to work. Now watch the smoke as the box tops off and it really starts to lug down on that engine. You can see it go from that nice tight cloud of black smoke to being really billowy and cloudy around the stack.
A good effort nonetheless, though, to enter the top 5 here tonight. All said and done, though, it is Brad Woods who's going to stand atop the class, and Terry Boyd is with him.
It's been a really good weekend for Brad Woods, and the Thunderstruck took a third place on Friday night. First place tonight, boy, what a great weekend.
I really enjoyed it. Made a good pass.
What constitutes a good pass for you outside of obviously winning, but you really had the magic ticket tonight?
Tonight, we seemed like we found a spot in the track that hooked up good, and our tractor was pretty well dead on the money on the weights, and we just made a good, strong pass down through there.
And an awesome weekend for Thunderstruck and Brad Woods as he finished third on the first night of action and now finds himself on top of the podium. You see Blaine Fraker there in second, Ricky Wilson in third. As you can see, some of the notables maybe at the bottom of the pack as we head back to the podium.
Coming in second place tonight, they moved a little bit of weight forward, but I'd say that was all you really need to do, Blaine.
Yeah, it ran pretty good tonight, and that little bit of change we made helped out a bunch from last night, so it all worked out good.
I'm sorry, but your little cheering section over here to your left is pretty daggone cute. I'd say that gives you all the mojo you need, huh?
Oh yeah, he's all the luck we need this year. He's going to be with us the whole time. Hopefully it works out great.
He will definitely keep them busy, no doubt. All right, there's a look at the points as Blaine Fraker and the Agitator is up top by 6. And then Jason Vinny and Peter Norton. Once again, let's go back down to the podium.
Tell you what, Ricky Wilson and the Red Rooster was second to the last to hook tonight, and I'll tell you what, it worked out for you guys.
It sure did. We appreciate being able to come down here and pull with you guys.
Let's talk about that, though. Going so late in the field, were you a little bit worried? We had some rain, moisture's going to come up. Were you thinking about that at all?
Well, we really hoped it would turn out like it did. We hoped the track would stay together, and it did. Fantastic job today.
So that'll do it for the Super Farm tractor category, but the modified two-wheel drive trucks are coming up next. Supercharged, big noise, and big power.